So there were a few requests in the channel for people asking me to do a comparison between the Galaxy S7 and the Xiaomi Mi 5. So we'll have a look at the build of both of these devices. They are quite good, both of them, but there's a massive difference really between the build quality with the Samsung Galaxy S7 being the fact that it is waterproof, and I just find that it just feels more solid. All in all, better design, but one thing I don't like about it is the glass rear on it does get slippery and slimy. And now with the Mi 5S here, I don't find that problem. It just tends to have more grip to it when I've been using it. We do have the Type-C port on there, which I do prefer over micro USB 2. Now the loudspeaker on the S7 has the definite edge here. It's better, and you can see the top of the devices too, but they both have a good feel. Now, there is definitely Gorilla Glass 4 front and back on the Galaxy S7. We know this, but we do not know if it is on the Mi 5S here. They say it could have it, or it could have Dragon Tail. So, you know, that's one thing to bear in mind too as well. Now, price-wise, there's a massive difference there. It's about $150 US cheaper than Mi 5S than the Galaxy S7. So if you're looking for the cheapest device, then that straight away is probably the one you want to go for there. So they both have front fingerprint readers, and the Mi 5S just unlocks straight away. You do not need to wake the device. Against Samsung Galaxy S7 there, you need to wake it first, and then it will unlock there. So I've just got a couple of benchmarks here I wanted to point out. Now, if you haven't seen my Galaxy S7 speed test versus the Mi 5S, you'll see that in real life performance, loading games and applications, and the camera, it will be faster. But here we see the Geekbench score that the octa-core, the Exynos 88090 that it has, is faster, CPU wise faster. Now the GPU that the Snapdragon 821 has is an Adreno 530. That is actually faster than the Galaxy S7's Mali T880 GPU. Now, one thing that I find disappointing on the Galaxy S7 is the battery life. So here's PC Mark score that I ran with both of the displays calibrated to 200 nits of brightness, and you'll see there's almost a 3-hour gap there. Now, how that translates into real world use, I can get about 5 hours screen on time with the Mi 5S, and I get around 3.5 to 4 on the Samsung Galaxy S7. So battery life, it's the clear winner, and it seems that it's just better on the battery, the Snapdragon 821, than it is than the 8 cores you get on the Samsung Galaxy S7. Can be a bit more of a burden. It drains it a little bit faster. So I can only get about almost 2 days. Depends what I'm doing, but sometimes I can't make 2 days with the Galaxy S7, where I can definitely make them at least on the Mi 5S, which is something to consider there. Now, the screen quality of them, here's the Antutu score as well. Before I go onto the screen, show you that. So there's a bit of difference in now. This is the best score I got. I could run this now and only get 132,000. It really does fluctuate and vary. Sometimes I can get a better score as well on the Samsung Galaxy S7, but performance-wise, yeah, I think the Galaxy S7 definitely is faster. It just feels faster anyway, as you'll see in my test if you haven't checked out the speed test I did. So onto the screens, we do have a 1440p display on the Samsung. Now, Samsung do have the best mobile displays. That's a fact, and you can clearly see when you're using them side by side. It's not because it has the high resolution, it's because it is a super AMOLED screen, and it just looks nicer. Colors don't tend to shift out as much. Now, we do have an IPS 1080p IPS display. It's also a very bright display on the Mi 5S, but you notice that when you move the screen to a slight angle, that it just shifts out a little bit more, or just gets a bit of a gray effect to it. On the blacks tend to turn a little bit gray with the viewing angles, and that doesn't happen at all with the Galaxy S7. That just has really an astounding display on it. It's a very good display on it. The same goes for the S7 Edge model. That also has a really good display. Now, camera performance of both of them, I found that the S7 definitely produces better video because it has image stabilization, And the shots, daytime shots, there's more detailed captured on the Galaxy S7's camera. Now both are 12 megapixels. We have an f2.0 aperture here and an f1.7. So this should let in more low light, but I did find that there's some differences in video when it comes to looking at how the dynamic range is handled on the sensor. And the Mi 5S sometimes actually gets more details in the shadow, but overall, the better camera, I would say, just for general use, has to be the S7. And I do have a camera comparison that is also coming up in another video, just to compare both of them, their front and rear cameras. There's another major difference as well with the S7 in the fact that it supports micro SD cards. Now that's something the Mi 5 and the Mi 5S don't, which is one of my main complaints with the device. And for example, I can go and put my 128 gigabyte card and expand the storage on the S7, 128 gigabytes, and I cannot do that on the Mi 5S, which is a real annoyance and something that I hope that Xiaomi will fix in the up and coming Mi 6 whenever that is released. They have to include micro SD card support, because if they don't, they're just going to lose out. So end of the day, which one would you or should you get? I would say if you can afford to, get the S7. It is a better device for the reasons I've just explained there. Better build, waterproofing, better camera, a lot better screen. It is also fast in real world use. However, the battery life is the main downside to it, that it is a bit disappointing, and I find sometimes, yes, that it falls short when it comes to battery life for me. But if you want the better battery life and the cheaper device, then of course have a look at the Mi 5S. Thank you so much for watching this comparison here. Hopefully it was helpful to those that are out there considering which one to get. Should I get the S7? Should I get the Mi 5S? Well, hopefully now you know.